It's a make or
It's a make or miss league.
All that, and he knows about wine, too. Make, Billy Hoyle, Alex Caruso getting the lead pass.
Look at that pass.
Exit pass, Jeremy Grant. Ramona, which is the better nickname for him, the Caruso or the Bald Eagle?
I mean, I got to go with Caruso.
Thank
That's
you.
so fun to say. Yeah, it's so good.
Billy Hoyle. That is the best nickname. We opened it up with Billy Hoyle. Do you understand that is like one of the most awesome basketball names in the culture? Stay with Billy Hoyle.
And you're going to have a lot more chances to debate this over the coming weeks,
Yeah.
is my theory. All right, miss layups. LeBron meeting Jamal Murray at the rim. Watch this. Woo.
Ooh.
Then LeBron gets in transition. Torrey Craig, he gets the LeBron, the chase down.
There we go. Everybody hustling out there. Everybody working. But look, that's like a big dude picking on a little dude. The other one, Jeremy Grant, is on the same athleticism plane as Bron,
Right.
so that's a little bit more fair. Bron out here picking on young Canadian kids. That's not cool, man. Not cool.
Canadians are people too, Richard. They have just as much a right to grow up and be basketball players as you did.
You're welcome.
Make bags. Speaking of Jamal Murray, he was in his several nice finishes last night. Is this layup now, not the ball handling, is the layup package Kyrie-esque, or would you not even go that far?
I would go that far because that 360 filet layup he made the round before, maybe it was in the Utah series, that is up there. Now, again, Kyrie does it 5 times a night.
Right.
But yes, that
And
is
18 other things in between.
18 other, but that's the evolution of basketball.
Yeah.
These younger players see this stuff and they start to emulate it. But look at that. Look at all in one hand, bring it around. Whew. Never had that. Never had that.
You can wear it in pickleball. You can get it.
Yeah, no, I don't have
Pickleball.
any skill set there either, to tell you the truth.
I know that looks good at home, Ramona. Woo. All right, miss intensity. Speaking of layups, here is a bunch of missed ones and lots of sloppy basketball, so we had to give it the yakety sax treatment. Ramona, what is going on here?
Well, look, I just think you have a lot of sloppy basketball, but
We put it in black and white so it wouldn't be
Oh.
your eyes would not have
My
to see
eyes. We've all been there.
as much.
Oh, is there more? We're gonna get another one? Oh, jeez.
It wasn't good.
Hey.
There. All right, make transition. Celtics were up 4 with 2.5 minutes left in the half, and they turned the energy way up. Good defense and transition buckets, finishing the half up 13. Richard, why is that so important to close quarters like that, especially in the playoffs?
Well, because a lot of times you either do all of your work and early, and then you're not able to finish it off, or you've been battling, and then that last 2 minute you get into a stretch, and then you're able to get some rest during that timeout, so you can actually continue that stretch.
Yep. Closing quarters, closing quarters, closing quarters. Say it all the time. All right, guys, let's stick with the Eastern Conference Finals. The Celtics getting themselves back into the series against the Heat with a victory on Saturday. Boston said its response is proof that there is more than enough resolve within this team to turn the entire series around and win it. So, Richard, what do you think was the difference in Game 3?
I'm going to say this. It was Gordon Hayward, right? Just having him on the court. Now, he didn't have this amazing game. It wasn't over the top. But having a guy that grew up in the Brad Stevens system, you don't call a lot of isolation plays. So he will get the ball, he will cut, he will move. He's also 6'8", so he makes defensive plays. He can rebound in traffic. There's a lot of things that he can do. But Gordon Hayward is such an unselfish player. And then I don't want to say that he is the focal point, but he averaged 17 points a game. That's nothing to scoff about. Everyone's talking about what the Lakers are missing with Avery Bradley. Well, this man averaged even more. And they don't have two studs like LeBron and AD. So having Gordon Hayward on the court I felt like opened things up for them and gave them a jolt of energy.
Well, I think what Gordon does, too, is he plays really good fundamental basketball where when you just need to break that Miami zone, he knows what to do. Like, he was a great cutter to the middle of the zone when they need to do that. In Game 2, when he wasn't out there, I thought they didn't really cut in there. They would sort of drift and didn't look like they were exact. When you go back in high school and how do you break a zone? Gordon Hayward was just executing that perfectly, and I think that really helped them out. But the other thing, too, is Marcus Smart on Goran Dragic in a lot of those moments really got the Heat out of what I think they like to do. And part of that was early on, they got Duncan Robinson in foul trouble. Marcus Smart had been on him a little bit, and so by getting him out of the game, you're able to put Marcus on Dragic. I mean, they just did a lot of things well in Game 3 that I think if they can continue doing that, we have ourselves a series.
No, Ramona, you make a great point. Like, when we talk about he played for Brad Stevens, he knows Brad Stevens' zone offense because he ran it in college. And then that was part of the reason why he signed with Boston, is because of familiarity with Brad Stevens. And that's one of the things that's so amazing with this group. He averaged 17 points a game. I'm going to keep saying that because if there was any team in the playoff right now that got a 17-point-a-game scorer, they would be ecstatic. It would shift things in the series as long as they're able to integrate him the right way. And I think they did a good job of doing that in Game 2.
Brad Stevens told me that Gordon is just the stabilizer, that just he has so much assurance, that veteran experience of what to do when, and you saw it in that game. All right, let's talk about the other side, though, because after the Heat lost that game, Jimmy Butler said, quote, "I think it gets old playing from behind consistently, especially against a great team like Boston and what they bring to the table." So, Ramona, this is a real pivotal moment for them. Either the Heat can go up 3-1 and sort of keep their grip on this series, or we could be all at 2-2 in just a couple of days. How do they avoid that?
Well, they keep Eric Spoelstra keeps talking about the Celtics are doing a great job of flattening us out on offense, right? And so I think what he means by that is when their defense just collapses, right? When they want to drive, they collapse. One thing that's been very effective for Miami is when they can get Bam Adebayo going downhill, right? When you're not just relying on Goran to create everything, do his Manu Ginobili imitation out there, and you can get Jimmy going downhill. That really opens things up because, the Miami Heat obviously is a great three-point shooting team, but when you have a night where your best sniper, you're starting, Duncan Robinson is a starter out there, gets into early foul trouble, that changes the dynamics out there a little bit. So I think if they can just get Bam going downhill, Jimmy going downhill a little bit, where the Celtics aren't able to flatten them out, they can be on par offensively in places they want to be.
Yeah, no, Ramona, it's great. It's great to have that resolve. It's great to have that resiliency. Like 100%, you want to have that team that's not just front runners. That means that when they get down, they're able to fight back. And they've been winning some of these games decisively. It wasn't like they just winning by one. It's like they've been down 10 and won by 10. But ultimately, that does exert a lot of energy. Now, that energy, it doesn't come back to haunt you because you're not having to travel. You're not having to go on the home court or somebody else's home court. There's a lot of constants here that I think that's part of the reason why we've seen so many great comebacks. But Jimmy Butler's right. You don't want to keep getting down because every time you move forward, every game, these things matter more, and you start to lose that margin of error. The same thing happened with the Nuggets coming back from double digits. And all of a sudden you had one game, one shot to win. But it was like if you would have played consistent basketball in the first three quarters, maybe it wouldn't have led to that. And I think that's what kind of Jimmy Butler is talking about, those first portions of the game where they need to be playing better basketball, not just the last 10 minutes.
And if you have this list that we're looking at right now, you cannot help it. Mentally, you use it a little bit as a crutch, right? You start to think like, oh, we're down, but we'll come back. Don't worry about it. We can depend on that. This is how we do, like all of that stuff. Unfortunately, it is very hard to come back from a double-digit deficit against an excellent Final Four team, and that's what the Heat are doing. You mentioned it earlier in the segment also, Ramona, about foul trouble. I do think that is going to be another key for them to not get into this situation again. Duncan Robinson specifically, as you noted, Tyler Hero, these guys have to be out on the court in that key stretch in the third and fourth quarter. All right, guys, here's what The Jump recommends for today. Baxter Holmes has a piece up on the ESPN app about Jaylen Brown being a player for this moment. Baxter discusses Jaylen's educational background and all the steps along the way that prepared him to be a leader for this